Dude, did you know the Royal Rumble was this past weekend? I
Yep.
don't know if you saw it. This was insane, dude. So, like, how does this happen? Rey Mysterio was the number one entrant, and number two was Penta, the brand new luchador who has beef with Rey. I mean, like, what are the odds of that happening? WWE, though, still less scripted than the NFL. Well, everybody, welcome to what is ultimately the final episode for this season of Mike and the Feather as far as our NFL videos go. And on today's video, we'll be looking at the Super Bowl picks and the Feather, in my opinion, on what's coming up between the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. As well as always requested, we are going to give you the full pick results statistically for the season from the Feather. For those of you who haven't followed along or are brand new to the channel, welcome. We will be taking a hiatus after the Super Bowl week. Coming back in March with our regular format of a Vegas podcast. We'll be having guests. We'll be talking about poker. World Series of Poker just 4 months away. Various things we do in town, movie reviews, might even get into some world news. We'll see what happens. If you enjoy listening to Jason and I talk and you like how opinionated he can get at times in a friendly way, tune in because the passion he has for the NFL and the hatred he has for the Chiefs carries over to many other things in the world. And this episode, we're going to celebrate like it's 2023 since we're basically getting the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. And I did a little bit of research and I'm going to give you a quiz here. I think this is where the conspiracy theory can actually be held more true. I looked up the top 3 songs of February this week in 2023. I'm going to give you the first 2. I'm going to let you guess the third. Number 1 song this week was Flowers by Miley Cyrus. Okay, that's fine. Number 2 was Kill Bill by SZA or SEA. Again, sorry. But Jason, can you guess the number 3 song in the country?
Absolutely not. 0% chance.
Oh, you just think about it for a second. It was Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. Not to be outdone, the top 3 movies of February this week. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Avatar: Way of the Water. Number 3, coincidentally, 80 for Brady. Tom Brady, who will be commentating on the Super Bowl this year. So there's the conspiracy goes deeper. Taylor Swift and Tom Brady have always been part of our Super Bowls. We just didn't know it.
This is going to be interesting because one thing some people don't know, Taylor Swift is, I guess, a diehard Eagles fan.
No, really?
Yes.
Is she from Philly?
I believe she's a diehard Eagles fan. I'm not sure if she's from Philly. I know she's a diehard. I don't follow everything Taylor Swift. So that's going to be interesting because now you're going to have her boo playing for Kansas City, but is she going to abandon her allegiance? Is she going to be wearing split uniforms? So, I mean, let's hope she doesn't sell out. I mean, you can't be a diehard Eagles fan because Eagles fans are fanatics. So, I mean, literally, if she abandons it because of her flavor of the year right now, the Eagles will always be there down the road in her life. But will, Travis Kelce? Who knows? We'll see. But
there's very little requisite for being an Eagles fan because apparently to be an Eagles fan, you don't even have to know how to spell Eagles.
Yeah, the mayor does not know how to spell Eagles. Boy, Boy, that was bad. You would think as a public speaker, she'd be able to remember the spelling of Eagles, but that, it's Philadelphia. Anything's possible. It's the one thing about Philadelphia is it's hard to cheer for this team to win a Super Bowl. They're the one city that if they'll win a Super Bowl, they're going to burn down the city pretty much. Then on the Chiefs side, if they've already announced if they win their 3rd Super Bowl in a row, they're not going to have a big parade function because there was a shooting last year at their other parade, which is not a shocker. Kansas City, another top crime city in the U.S., but
You can't stop the people from crowding in the streets, so that's learn that from everywhere.
Either way, they're going to be taking the streets. It's going to be exciting. I mean, we're pumped. I can't believe the season's over. I mean, literally, we have one more game left, and we're done. And we got really a void of sports entertainment. The NBA sucks. March Madness is kind of cool. Hockey, we follow the Knights here. Mike and the wife are big hockey fans, but otherwise it's a void of sadness.
So I'm going to turn it over to the Feather right now. He's going to go down. He's broken down all of the stats. I'll put them on the screen too for how the season went as far as his picks and his take it to the bank picks. And for those of you who are newer, who came in late in the season, just so you know, we do pick every game, but the games that really matter here are Jason's take it to the bank pick. So it's almost impossible to pick 16 games right week after week at a high percentage. And there were some this season, I recall, your advice was stay away, don't bet it on quite a few of these. So
Right. Yeah.
without further ado, I'll turn it over to you. Let us know how we ended up for the season. I'm curious to find out.
Season stats, in the very beginning, it was a weird year. I mean, just ask anyone that was in the Circuit Survivor. I think 90% of the field was eliminated like by week 4. We'll start out with this. The first 9 weeks of the Take of the Bank picks and the overall picks went like this. Take of the Bank picks, we were 47%. The overall for the year, we were, for the first 9 weeks, was 50%. Okay, that was the first 9 weeks. The first 5 weeks was like something out of The Shining. It was a nightmare. A lot of upsets, a lot of crazy stuff happened. A lot of teams that, it was a weird start to the year. So that was the first 9 weeks. The second 9 weeks plus all the playoffs up to the Super Bowl so far. Take it to the bank picks. Very impressive. 25, 9, and 1. 74%. I was at 76% up until losing the Buffalo Bills pick against Kansas City, but I want to recount. I'm under protest on that one still. I have something on file with the NFL to try to get that reversed. But overall, for the last 9 weeks of the year plus playoffs, 86, 56, and 4 for 61%. We were at 62+%, but it went down a little bit with that getting swept in the final 2 games of the playoffs. Not too shabby. And then now we go ahead and we break down the season totals. Take it to the bank picks, 61% overall for the entire season, and overall for the entire year, 56% overall on all games picked against the spread. So I'll take it, 61% on the big ones. Overall success, profitable year. Hopefully you guys were with us on all these picks and you came out ahead and made some money. Comment in the chat if you did well with us taking the picks and how you did financially. Did you increase your bankroll to this point?
I looked back and I was doing some degenerate preseason betting as well. I nailed 6 4-teamers and 1 5-teamer. The 1 5-teamer, of course, thanks to you and the Hail Mary by Jaden Daniels when he was able to
that sent
win
the Bears spiraling out of control, and they won one game since then. Okay, according to like FanDuel, DraftKings, all these places that have prop bets, 90% of the revenue in these casinos or these betting sites are made on prop bets, like over-under yards and catches.
They're surely making money on parlays.
Oh, too. Yeah, parlays are the sucker bet. They're fun, but you always, like I've always said, you got to have a very low percentage of your bankroll in play, and you hit it. I remember you'd be like, man, why didn't I bet 100 on this parlay?
I mean, the hindsight betting, it works great in betting.
That's like when I hit my 11-team parlay, and I bet $3, and I got 3,600.
Like you couldn't have bet 6. That was like a few less tacos.
Right, exactly. But in hindsight, sounds great. But it's like the odds of an 11-team parlay is pretty much 0 against the spread. And I hit it, and everyone's like, I got this probably from 40% of the people at least. They're like, oh, why didn't you bet like 25? Well, it's nice to take a nice multiplier once you hit it. But the reality is you're lighting $25 on fire more times than not. I mean, so.
It's true.
But you have fun in besides the stressful points when you were like jumping off a cliff at Flanker.
Oh my God! Well, shout out to Flanker too. That's one of the best places to watch football on a Sunday.
Yeah, they have good food.
If you like going to Mandalay Bay, look them up online. Flanker LV, surrounded by television sets, great staff, and really good food. The nachos are honestly, to me, the best nachos in all of Las Vegas. That cheese stays warm after it's been served to you, and 3 people can eat off of it. So.
Oh, 100%.
Free props to Flanker.
Great food. Not that I'll be eating anytime soon, because one thing to address, we did have a weight loss challenge that we still are going to follow through on. That's going to be a final weigh-in in April. Both of us kind of derailed, over the football season from September on. And I personally packed on some pounds that I had lost up until that point.
But I found the ones you lost.
But the good news is that I actually am on the trending back down. I've been doing the carnivore diet strictly for the last 60 days, almost like 58 days.
And it's working for you.
58 days down 49 pounds.
Maybe on our first episode of the official Mike and the Feather Vegas podcast, we'll talk about that. So anybody looking get ready for that summer bod, Feather's going to come in with some big tips for you beginning of March. So make room in the freezer for ribeye. Let's take a look now at the actual Super Bowl. We got it again. We got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not a fun one for me. Although I guess if anything, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Saquon Barkley, go get that ring. It's been holding steady at -1.5 in favor of the Chiefs since the lines opened up right after last weekend's championship games. We expect that might move. If it does move, it'll be right towards before the Super Bowl. Maybe even Super Bowl morning. Might move to -1, maybe half. Just depends. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl, and is it going to be the three-peat? Is it going to happen?
Everyone wants to know. This is it's been built up. This is the Super Bowl that nobody really wanted unless you're an Eagles or Kansas City Chiefs fan. I mean, everyone wanted to see Washington, Buffalo. They got the runner-up in this situation. It's in New Orleans. Okay, it's in a dome. Fun fact, Patrick Mahomes is 15-0 in a dome or covered stadium in his career, 15-0. So that's an interesting stat, to say the least. He's going up against Vic Fangio, the coordinator for the Eagles that has had, been a coordinator of multiple teams, but Patrick Mahomes, Vic Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes. That's problematic for the Eagles. Now you kind of look into other, breakdowns. Okay, Saquon Barkley, if you match pros and cons, Saquon Barkley, we're going to give the nod to running back to the Eagles as far as better matchup, better running back. I do believe the Eagles have the better wide receivers overall. No knock on D-Hop, but he's old. And as far as tight end, Goddard versus Kelsey, I mean, it depends. Kelsey, most of the year, was probably a bottom 20 tight end. Now he's had some playoff Kelsey moments, and he's looking a little better. So I give the tight ends kind of a wash. It depends how much Kelsey wants to move around or how open they're going to leave him, because I could have caught the balls he did against Houston. Andy Reid definitely gets the nod against Nick Sirianni. He's going to be he's a Hall of Fame coach. He's probably the driver to this franchise of how they got to where they got. I mean, if you put Andy Reid on the Buffalo Bills, I think it's a complete reversal over the last 8 years. Lucky for Patrick Mahomes, he walked into a coach that is so seasoned and so well versed that all they do is win. What are your feelings, Mike? I mean, I feel like this is a game that's going to be just an absolute battle. I've had a ton of people walk up to me that know I do the podcast, and they're like, what do you like, the over or the under? I think it's going to be this. I think it's going to be that. Some people think it could be a defensive game, and they think it's going to go under. Some people think, it's going to be over.
Well, I mean, look, I know a lot of people are putting out like articles or all the haters, and like we talked about, if you're putting out a message to somebody saying, here's why you should like Super Bowl matchup, because you're watching two amazing teams in history, you shouldn't have to sell people on that. I don't think it's two bad teams that are playing. I mean, I would think the Eagles, in my mind, without any interference, are the superior team. As a New York Giants fan, we used to have Barkley on a season ago. It kills me to say that. I don't know. Yes, the Commanders, the rookie quarterback from a season where they ended up with the second worst record in the NFL, to be one game away, Philly puts up 7 touchdowns on them. Is that Philly or is that Washington let it happen?
I mean, Washington has one of the worst defenses
right
against the run, at least,
but
right?
Kansas City, if Philly is even able to put up 5 touchdowns, that's already 35 points on the Chiefs. And we know the Chiefs are not usually scoring over 30 points a game.
No, they've stepped it up in the playoffs, obviously, right?
And how do the Chiefs stop Barkley?
I mean, that's a big question, but here's the thing. The Chiefs' bottom line in their last 18 playoff games have not given up a 100-yard rusher. So something's got to give here. There's a stretch he had a couple 200-yard plus games a couple times, but he's averaging, I don't know exact numbers, but call it $150 the last 8 games on average. Now all of a sudden Kansas City, who has a really good defense this year, the defense that has kept Kansas City in it, because literally their win margin is a lowly 4.5 points, I think, during the regular season, which is pretty low. It's an all-time low out of teams in the Super Bowl era for a record like this. It's going to be a battle. It's a tough pick. It really is. It's a really tough pick all around. The one thing I see that's going to be different is that this Philly team, I believe, has a little bit of destiny going for them. They fell short after a 10-point lead in the last matchup in the Super Bowl. The rest for the last couple weeks will help Jalen Hurts. But on the other side of the ball, Kansas City always seems to rise to the occasion. Playoff Patrick Mahomes, playoff Kansas City. If you're going to take the stats and you're going to break it down, I think Philly is the better team by far this year. Okay, they're the better team on all aspects. So only except for in the win column. And I guess everyone says that's what matters, the win column. But as far as fundamentally across the board, Philly is the better team overall. That doesn't seem to equal who's going to win, though, because I believe Buffalo was fundamentally the better team overall as well, and they fell short. Now, granted, it was because of a couple really bad officiating calls. My brick this week goes to the officiating of the Bills, because the Bills-Chiefs game, because it was terrible. So hopefully next year the NFL figures it out and they change some rules, because people are getting sick of it, and they're starting to believe that this is all a big sham. So
Please go.
refs in NFL, brick.
Not the camera. All right. For once, you missed the camera. And my dog is now fetching the fake brick.
That's in the brick. When it's all said and done, it's a pretty easy pick for me. And guess what? Hello, Rocky Balboa. Fly, Eagles, fly. Absolutely. People have been wanting to know. I've been on the fence thinking all week, crunching it out. I've been getting asked that question now for well over a week. On paper, all across the board, this Philly team deserves to be here. Kansas City, they're winning games, and that's great. But you know what? I feel like they are lacking in different departments, and I think that this week against Philadelphia, in a situation where the defense of Philly is outstanding, they're healthy, they're going to get it done. They're going to shut it down. Patrick Mahomes. Now, the one thing that makes everyone worried, though, how big of an effect are the refs going to have in this game? All I want is an unbiased, fairly called, officiated game. Are we going to get it? Because that's the one thing that gives me pause. And I shouldn't have a better or anyone else have to factor it in. Troy Aikman said it very well. He says, with sports betting being so huge and all the gambling going on, the NFL owes it to the fans that are spending their hard-earned money and millions and millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars are in the gambling industry are going towards NFL-based situations. The NFL owes it to all these people to get the calls right. People lose jobs. So guess what? As long as the Eagles are not going to get robbed, they win. It's that simple. We'll see. There's a lot of pressure in the NFL this year, and if they want to keep market share and they want to keep this momentum and not become the NBA someday, they need to make sure that these officials are getting the calls right. The Eagles, all day long. I love it. Fly, Eagles, fly. Boom. And I think that the important part is, even if they find a way to take away Barkley, I think in turn, Jalen Hurts is going to burn them with his legs. Or, better yet, he's going to take advantage of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who are huge. I mean, they are talented wide receivers. And even, like I said, Goddard, he's a beast of a tight end. He's a big play guy, just like Zach Ertz was, in the game that they played. And I just think that one way or another, they're going to get a heavy dose of this Eagles offense. But to boot, the Eagles defense is going to be able to do what a lot of teams haven't done in the playoffs. And although I'll give Houston, the Texans did a good job shutting down, Kansas City big time. And the Bills didn't. Problem with the Bills is their last 5 playoff games they're giving up the offense is giving up 30 some points a game, and they're the worst defense in the NFL. Like the last 5 playoff games, how they played. So this Eagles team is going to be a whole different ball game from a defensive standpoint, and I think Patrick Mahomes has become frustrated, and he might even get a little bit whiny. So we'll see what happens. But fly, Eagles, fly all day long. Shout out to my buddy Jake. You won't be able to give me crap this week, not going against your Eagles. Eagles all day long. Celebrate Philadelphia. Philly cheesesteaks for everybody. Boom.
That wasn't clear. He's picking Philadelphia. Hey, by the way, just for those who care, I bet heads on the Super Bowl as I do every year. It's 30-28 tails, so I feel like heads are due. But at least at the Westgate, it's -101, so you're almost getting the right odds to basically tell the casino you want to flip quarters in the back alley with them. So what props do you have off of the FanDuel site for us?
Well, I'm just going to give one and you can pick yours. The prop for the Gatorade color, or maybe it's not Gatorade, maybe it's water, but for the beverage that's going to be in the Gatorade cooler, is it going to be purple at +200, yellow lime green at +210, orange at +500, blue at +650, red pink +750, water clear +1,000.
But doesn't somebody have to know this? Somebody has to have bought hundreds of packets of Gatorade powder to mix this. So somebody
it might be kept
knows.
tight-lipped. It might be kept tight-lipped because
this guy's somewhere in a basement tied up. He has the answer. He can't move for a week. His family doesn't see him. His children miss him. Where's daddy?
So what would be you're going to go with red?
I go with red.
You're going with the second longest odds.
You know
red
what?
pink.
If I'm going to bet $5 and then wish I had bet 20, I want to go with the longer shot.
But you know what? I'm going to change it because since the Eagles are going to win, I'm going to go with the lime green, the signify the Eagles' victory. So guess what? Boom, yellow lime green, +210.
Make it a ticket to the bank. You could be 1-0 on. You could be 100% on, or 0 on Gatorade. Take it to the bank picks.
Gatorade, take it to the bank picks. Nope.
All right. Well, on that rather very odd note, we're gonna end the season as far as it goes to football. Like I said, we have communities now on YouTube, so we'll be posting some stuff throughout the next few weeks. So don't unsubscribe or anything. We'll be back here in just about 4 weeks with new videos, and I'm sure we'll discuss sports and off-season news at some point as well. So stay tuned. You know, you've gotten to do it all season, and I've been practicing. Can I give them the shout out? Can I give them? All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon. I'm working really hard on this. As a feather says, take it to the bank. Kapow.